And good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Sorry, it's been a little bit, but hope your weekend was well and that you're enjoying your commute to or from work this morning. Want to talk about revisit the topic of eating our young. It's something that actually came up in an interview that Michelle and I did this weekend. And I know that we harp on culture so much and that this particular topic has been a sore spot for a lot of people, but it always bears worth addressing again and again. So, where does this mentality of eating our young come from? It's in my opinion, in my summary, it's ultimately laziness. It's in this field we thrive on relationships. This field centers on relationships between partners, between other disciplines of responders, between the provider and patient's family. There's so many different dynamics and different relationships of varying durations and intensities that we can't afford to not communicate effectively and treat each other properly. And specifically when you have the older generation, and I say older, this encompasses quite a wide range. Unfortunately, a lot of people in my age range and experience level have started falling into these patterns too. And it is basically this bitch shield or force field that you put up, and it's like an armor that you wear to not actually have to engage with people civilly and just buck against everyone that you don't like or that annoys you or doesn't do something perfect the first time. And rather than actually take a moment to teach somebody something or explain something or confront somebody, you just act like a piece of shit, act like a childish piece of shit. And there's no, simpler way to put it, really. It's incredibly counterproductive. It doesn't do anything for, especially the newer providers coming in. You're not training them at all. And I love this whole, oh well, but down the road, it pays off. No, it fucking doesn't. That's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because you're fucking lazy. You're doing it because you're irritated and somebody has, disturbed your zen or what the fuck ever is bothering you. Whatever stick crawled up your ass, you got to take it out yourself. It only works sometimes, because I had someone say this to me in the comments on one of the videos I did. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and they're like, "Well, so what you're saying is eating our young worked on you?" And to which my response is, "Not really. Just because I got a chip on my shoulder and had to prove these people wrong, and I used that to fuel me to be better, doesn't mean that's the way it should be. Doesn't mean that's how we should be doing it. The statistics don't match up there. The ratio of success to failure with that is pretty fucking awful. It doesn't work. And even the times when it does work, there's better ways to do it. So it only works sometimes. And really, what it boils down to, what the eating our young attitude boils down to. And I had to capture this quote because I came up with it off the top of my head when we had this interview, and I was like, wow, that really sums it up in about 7 words. And it's that eating our young, it's a retroactive justification for poor emotional regulation. It's finding an excuse after the fact to be like, oh well, this is actually benefiting these other providers, and therefore I can keep doing it, and that's okay. Listen, there is no amount of experience or trauma that justifies you acting like a shitbag human being. There's no amount of bad experiences of shitty providers that you've run into, whatever. There's no amount of that justifies this eating our young way of doing things. It has not produced a lot of good providers. And what do we see now? Our retention is worse than ever in this profession. Our retention is absolute dog shit. When you look across the board, obviously there's exceptions and nuance to this conversation, but across the board, retention's fucking atrocious. And there's a lot of things that contribute to this. Pay contributes to it, benefits and leadership styles. There's a bunch of different things, but the eating our young mentality is very strong in certain places. And sometimes it makes this unholy baby with the rumor mill. So you have people who are not only treating people like shit, but talking shit about them all the fucking time. Whether it's true or not doesn't really matter, because nobody gives a shit if it's true or not. It's just something to fucking talk about. But when I hear older providers trying to justify this, trying to say, well, this is just the way it's always been. Well, okay, cool. The way it's always been has not really been working out too well for us lately. So if you're trying to find a justification for this condescending attitude, this atrocious way of treating people, how about you spend that energy on trying to find a justification for it into actually being a better human being? Because I guarantee you, if you take a little bit extra time to be able to communicate correctly with people when someone pisses you off, when somebody didn't do something right, instead of flying off the handle at them, talking to them like they're less than dirt, if you take the time to educate, to listen to them, to give them an opportunity to explain themselves, and then ultimately find a solution to the problem, you will find that you will actually have a much more satisfying job experience if you do this, if you're actually taking the time to communicate. It's disgusting, it's lazy, it's a complete cop out from actually connecting with people. And no, that doesn't mean that you need to be best friends with everybody. That doesn't mean that every newbie or probie is going to do well. It doesn't mean that they're going to listen to you. But just because someone does or doesn't behave a certain way, that has no bearing on how you should be treating them. Has absolutely zero say in how you communicate with people. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Period. The fucking end. There's no conditionality to it. Now, obviously, if you have people who are obstinate, that are actively not learning, that are not putting in the effort to better themselves, to improve their patient care, then sure, there needs to be some harder conversations. There needs to be some heavy shit said. But that means so much more when you have actually tried, when you have actually put forward a good faith effort to maturely communicate with somebody. And then so you have done your due diligence. You have gone above, I would say above and beyond, unfortunately, because that's not normal right now. But you have gone and tried to rectify a situation. And if they are not participating, then that is on them. If you are making this a conflict right out the gate that it doesn't need to fucking be, then you're the problem. You're the one who's making things worse. And we need to stop protecting the people that do this. If you can't keep up with modern medicine, if you can't speak to people maturely and appropriately and professionally, if you can't even be bothered to, I don't know, take care of your own external appearance, then get a different fucking job. You've been in this too long and it's time for you to fucking go. There's no, holding hands and singing kumbaya, because at this point you have actually made yourself the problem. You are contributing to what makes our culture so toxic right now. And in this eating our young attitude is so caustic. And I would venture to say that you don't have any healthy relationships outside of work either. If that's how you treat people, and you're okay with talking to people like they're pieces of shit, then I would venture to say that you don't have any kind of healthy home life. You don't have a good relationship with your kids, most likely. Or even if, it seems like you do now, you're probably going to find out as they get older that you aren't actually relating to them the way you should. So I know we beat this horse to death, and I know that sometimes it gets tiresome, but if we could just putting this out there, if we could eradicate this mentality, if we could professionally bully this attitude out of EMS, quite literally, well, I'll say metaphorically, beat it out of EMS, that would be awesome, because that's half of our problem. If we can correct the way we speak to each other, if we can correct our leadership structure, get rid of the good old boy system, and all learn how to redefine what it means to be a professional, we could actually do a lot to gain the respect of the public and earn what we actually want, which is recognition, better pay, better schedules, better funding. Because I mean, really, that's what we all need in EMS. Is the EMS needs better funding to be able to do all of those other things. But if we are not consistently acting like goddamn professionals, then it's all for naught. It doesn't fucking matter. And that doesn't mean that, you have to, speak clean cut and polished and never cuss and, never tell dirty jokes. No, no. But be able to switch that shit, to be able to switch on your, whatever you want to call it, game face, your call mode, or what the fuck ever. Be able to switch into gear when you're on a call, put that paramedic hat on, and say, I'm representing something and a group of people bigger than myself. I should act accordingly. So, practical takeaway from all of this, I'll do two. One would be for the newer providers. If you're in an environment where the senior people are being belligerent and legitimately harassing you for no damn reason, and I'm not talking about sarcasm and poking jokes at each other or whatever. You can't handle sarcasm, you're not going to do well in EMS. But I'm talking about when there's legitimate, malicious, genuine intent to degrade and condescend. That kind of thing, well, number one, day to day, you have to filter it out. And if it's the kind of thing where your entire agency is that way, leave. Just leave. Go to a different job. Go to a different agency. There's plenty of places out there that will support new people, that will encourage new people, and they will ostracize the older, salty troublemakers. Unfortunately, it's not as many places as I would like, but it's there. So don't be afraid to take a fresh start somewhere. If that's what you're dealing with, stand your ground. Be willing to filter out and absorb what you can from their criticism, because even though they're going about it the wrong way, they may actually have something constructive to tell you through all of that. So don't completely discount that, but also be willing to stand your ground and say, hey, it's not appropriate for you to talk to me like this. Now, the practical application to the older providers, you fucking know better. You were new once too. Fucking act like it. This whole high school playground bullshit of talking to people however you want is inappropriate. I'm pretty sure if your kid did it to you, you wouldn't react well to that. It's not right for you to behave that way either. This unwarranted, lazy, disgusting behavior it has just gotten out of hand. And so you either need to get your shit under control or get the fuck out of this job. That's all I got for you guys. Be safe. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.